JB here, JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Wednesday, August 5th, 8:40. On this fine morning, talk quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from their S&P futures. What do you know? In the green, SPY just hit 775. Actually, we're at 774.99. Impressive stuff. If you had told me over the weekend that we'd be going into Wednesday at 775, I would have called you crazy. But new highs, we get new highs, right? All the blue sky breakout through the clouds like that airliner, right? You take off, you hit the clouds, turbulence. That's kind of like where there could be some problems. And then once you get through those clouds, and then it's just clear sailing from there. 35,000 feet. Here's your Captain S&P pilot. Joking aside, when you take a look at the S&P, it's kind of like you're waiting for the headline, the pull that's going to come, the 1% pullback for no reason, no catalyst, right? Or some escalation in the Middle East to erase all the gains, right? That's kind of unfortunately the pressures and stresses you have as you're watching the market. But for now, markets are holding up here in the morning. So is this going to be the Nasdaq's having its best 4-day session in quite some time. It's up 1% over the past 4 sessions. These going to be 5 in a row. Remarkable stuff. And this little chart of the last 4 sessions, you look at the S&P, it's up, 6%. The Dow's up 5%. The Nasdaq's up 8%, 8.76%. Small caps up 4.5%. So that's just over the 4-day time frame. They already had the grave was dug, right? 4 days ago, the bears had the grave dug, and they were in the grave saying, "Come on in. We told you, bear market correction. Count count the economy goodbye. Inflation's soaring. Yields are going to the moon." And then boom, you just fast forward 4 days, and it's like that's a foregone memory. Doesn't mean it can't come back, right? I always say like the half glass full mentality. I'm always cautiously optimistic or highly optimistic. Economy's doing great. I was talking about the earnings being the best in 4 years, so all good stuff. At some point, that comes to an end. Jackson Hole, 3 weeks. I think Walsh speaks on the Friday, the 27th maybe of August. We have the jobs report on Friday. That might move markets. We have the services, the PMI ISM number, what have you, at 10 o'clock today. Who knows if the market's just going to keep churning higher? Like that's the momentum it's already on course, and it's going to be very hard to take it off track. If you look at the last 2 days of the rally, and this is a chart, just remarkable. I mean, well, and I don't know, I don't have this here. I mean, well, if you take a look at the chart, just crazy, right? I think it's a 5-minute chart of or 10-minute of the S&P, and look at the red candles, not many of them, and even the pulls are not that big. The biggest pull we had was at the end of the day yesterday, and even that wasn't substantial in the context of the move we had yesterday. We were up 2% heading into the last 5 minutes, and then we still had the pull. So anyway, it's tough to go and draw lines, right? Find support resistance because there's not much support resistance. There's no battlegrounds to find on the S&P chart. So I'm just looking at 664 in weakness. That's the upper Bollinger Band. And as that comes back in, maybe that'll provide some support if we do get some weakness. And then, of course, want to see yields continue to head lower. That would be the ideal scenario. And then Middle East, still having that talk around the Strait is open for business. Strait is not open for business. Strait is open. 5 boats have gone through today. No, 1 boat today. No boats have gone through. And it depends on who you talk to. At this point, it's like the marks come somewhat to the tariff situation when we used to have the headlines. 100% tariff on Swiss goods, then 50%, then no tariff, then the reverse. Then the U.S. is getting, just joking aside, that's kind of how it's been, and the market got numb to it. The first time the headline comes out, we move 2%, then 1%, then 0.5%. Now we don't move at all. So I just got, a lot of folks talk about the Strait as like some kind of catalyst. I think that's like old news. Who remembers the Suez Canal, right? That big freighter got stuck in there for 3 days, and that was supposed to, all the ports had backed up traffic, inflation was going to soar, and that was the talking point for a couple weeks, and then that goes away. No one talks about that anymore. It's just funny how all these play out. I'm not sitting here to put your bullhorns on and just be always in the call side, but history is a guide. It tends to be more the bears who have been calling the last 10, 5 of the last 37 bear markets. They were all pounding their chest last week. They would have had to time the top and then time your exit. So if you were short last week and you were pounding your chest, you didn't close them out, you're getting trashed, right? So it just goes to show, even on upside too, you got to have timing right. I'm not saying you can't lose money on the call side either. And with options, your timing has to be even more impeccable. All right, rants for other days. Just quick on individual names. First is Apps Turbine, Digital Turbine. If you ever heard this story, one of my, I don't know if it was top 5 stock or back half name long time ago, was a great growth story. It's like the middle party, almost like AppLovin. And I wish I knew AppLovin because I remember watching that stock go up, and I'm like, what does it do? And it went from like 100 all the way up to $700, and the whole way up, I'm like, what does it do? What does it do? I should learn what it does. I never did. App Turbine, Digital Turbine is one of those names I watched, a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago. I had it after its last earnings. I'm like, this might be one of those names. And next, you turn around tomorrow, and well, months from now, and it's a 30, 40, $50 stock. It had earnings. I missed it. Same with Kodak. I didn't realize Kodak reported earnings after close yesterday. But this is a name I might watch. It might have some follow through depending on what like the $14 or $15 strikes are. You look at where it went back in June, end of June to July, it hit $14. So if that's a target, and if it gets there and or breaks through that, could have some nice pay dirt on some calls. So obviously it's up 20-something% in the pre-market. I'm not going to chase at the open, but just a name I haven't had on the watch list before or until just recently. Definitely one I'm watching. Same with El Pollo Loco, but I'm not going to trade that one today. With all the stuff going on, with salmonella now, we have that the salads, just crazy stuff. All right, so casual dining stocks tough, especially if they serve salads or vegetables. Don't want to touch anything in the casual dining space. Just other names, Generac. I'm kicking myself. I would say kicking myself. But I went to look at the 230 strikes yesterday, and they were 40. They might have been like 35 by 65, and I'm pretty sure I would have been able to get filled at 55 or even 50 cents. But then I go click, and then it says August 7th. I'm like, August 7th, that's Friday expiration. These are weekly calls. I'm not paying with the stock at 212, 60 cents for, the premiums just didn't jive for me, right? And then you go out to look at the monthlies, and the monthly's like $2. I'm like, I'm not playing it, right? There's always other stocks to trade. You don't have to get in something. So, of course, in hindsight, I probably could have got in. Those calls went to two or $3. I'll still be watching here today, especially as the weeklies come down in price. Those 230s might be less expensive, or even if I get 230, 250s. But that whole solar story, yesterday too, you look at First Solar was running, and then this morning you have SolarEdge. SolarEdge reported, from all I can tell, for all intents and purposes, a solid quarter, a beat, and I guess the guidance is a little weak. I don't even see the guidance estimate. It's funny, they come out, Thinkorswim has the headline, and it says, oh, they missed on earnings, but then there's a correction. No, they beat on earnings. So who knows, right? The thing is, it's like all these stocks that have high short interest, you can see it. It's like clockwork. Right before the earnings release comes in, it sells off. I mean, I don't know and it's done this in the past before AI and algorithms and all that stuff. I don't know what criteria they use to instill this sell-off, but it went from 40, $50 down to $40 in like a flash before all that stuff came out. I don't know whose money is doing that. It just blows my mind because I look at the earnings. I'm like, this is still their first cash flow positive quarter. And a lot of stuff you can paint the picture of a turnaround story in the midst of it. That's probably at the later stages of becoming this cash generating cow. So I'll be watching it at the open. If it holds 40, I might look for some turnaround calls. It's done this before. I remember a couple quarters, it was like $18. It was it opened the day before was 29. Earnings morning, it gapped down to like $18 and then went from 18 to 35 the next day. So I'm not saying it does that here today, but to me, it means there's opportunity. And this name has had previous times of massive reversals on earnings that I thought were not as bad as the market's painting out to be. So I'll be watching that one. NXT is the other one next door, right? Similar to GNRC. That was up 6% yesterday. This is a name that I think could break into the 115, 120. Hang on a second. Yeah, so 200-day moving average 110, 50 days 115. I think this has a massive reversal at some point. And you look, the momentum indicators are starting to turn down here. All right, so that's NXT, GNRC, SolarEdge, Enphase. I don't even know if I'll touch Enphase because that seems so fickle. Tough to trade that one. Just some other names. Google's actually gapping higher this morning. Did it get to, what did it hit yesterday? It hit to 380 yesterday. It's at 382 and change right now. Hit 384.15. I guess they're in some kind of deal with some, I don't even know what the company, I don't know if that's some of the reason the move is. But lock some more of the 400s out for 100%. I'll just continue to hold those calls. My other thought was like, I'll add some more strikes, but I'm trying to figure out like, where's Google going to go? To me, I'm not saying it can't go to 415, 420, but I think the next $20 are going to be a heck of a lot harder than the last $60, right? So if that's the case, the options are going to be very hard to find decent risk reward setups where you can pay premium that'll pay, because a lot of times you can pay premium and the premium is just going to stay flat or erode. So with that being said, I'm just going to hold the rest of the 400s. I have the rest of those Amazons today. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'm going to revisit too. Similar story. I mean, does Amazon go to $300 in the coming week or two? It probably does. Trying to get a 10 bagger on those calls is going to be difficult unless this happens on a Thursday or Friday. So I'm not saying I won't trade Amazon, just a little more difficult. All right, so that's Amazon, Google. Other names, NKLR. It's actually gapping again here in pre-market. Still riding freebie 750s. I might look for some other strikes on strength over the 200-day moving average. Closed over for the first time since April. one of those names that I think it's like undercovered, undiscovered is I guess the word you would say too. And I think as more people stumble on it, maybe get some buying pressure, just a premise of that alone, and the scarcity of energy and this niche sector with nuclear modular technology, whatever you want to call it. That's that. There's Solar Edge. Serve Robotics reports earnings tomorrow after the close. Still riding freebies. Serves another one of those names, like a poster child of a short, where this has whatever it is now, 30 something. I don't even want to look. It's a 40% short interest on Serve Robotics. Maybe it's 35%. You'll watch after earnings. It's done this before, and earnings won't even be out, and they'll be gapping lower after in the after hours because they know it's an illiquid stock where they can fear folks into selling or set off some stops or whatever they do to create this snowball effect. Yeah, 34% short interest. So with that, I'm not going to fight the market. There's no sense to fight the bears. I don't have enough money to fight the bears, and I mean, not that I don't know if the bears manipulate stocks. I'm not saying they do, but when you're in the after hours session, bid whacking stocks to instill more selling, I guess I don't know what you call that, but which means I'm probably not going to bang my head against the wall trying to add some more strikes on SERP. So I'll just hold the freebies for now. If I see other opportunities, maybe I will. And then, BHC, frustrating, right? Tuesday, Monday, I looked great. Bought the bottom, it bounced I waited for the bottom to settle, got the calls, and then yesterday, it does the same thing. Unfortunately, the buyers didn't come in to bounce it. Candle doesn't look too bad on the daily. I'm not going to add any more strikes just yet, but definitely a name that I think is going to, at some point, head into the double digits. That being said, Kodak, right? Kodak had some monster call opportunities back in the spring, whenever I trade those calls for 1,000, 2,000%, what have you. It's sitting here at $10.12. It could go on a run. The thing is, yesterday, I took a look at it. I did not realize it reported earnings today. The thing is, after its last earnings, it got pummeled. So I would say in high confidence that I probably wouldn't have added some calls into earnings yesterday anyway, just based on previous experience and its previous earnings. And not to mention the CEO has gone on record saying he doesn't want the stock to go up fast, right? To me, I want a CEO who doesn't, number one, probably doesn't talk about the stock price, but if they do, they talk about, hey, I want the stock to go bonkers, right? That's the kind of CEO I want in a stock that I'm in. Not saying it can't go bonkers, but we'll see. If it has fall through at the open, maybe I'll look to nibble some spec calls there. And then just other lottos, obviously hims and hers. You had LLY this morning, just a monster story over the years. I don't know if that's going to have any impact on hims and hers, but I'll be watching. 3160 was the key spot yesterday, but once it broke 3160, it kind of like fizzled. So it has to move to make money on the calls. Maybe today will be the day. All right, that's it. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.